Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we have quite a few tidbits to get through. We're going to be talking about the Ahsoka series, and stay tuned because I'm going to give you my thoughts on what's probably the weirdest Star Wars toy ever released. So no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. The other day Rosario Dawson and Natasha Bordizzo sat down with Entertainment Weekly to discuss what it was like filming for Ahsoka and also working with Jon Favreau. Not only this, but recently Rosario was a guest on the Spotify podcast Dagobah Dispatch, and between the two interviews we have some pretty cool teasers for what to expect from the show. So right off the bat, in both interviews, Rosario made a big deal of Ahsoka's personal journey in the series. She says we're going to see a side to the character we've not witnessed before, and she specifically mentioned how something Ahsoka was never able to get on board with was the no attachment rule of the Jedi Order. Of course, Ahsoka is no longer a Jedi, but the point that Rosario was making was in reference to the fact that the Ahsoka show is going to be, quote, very emotional. She says Ahsoka herself and those around her are incredibly emotional within the series. And speaking with Dagobah Dispatch, Rosario might have hinted that the Ghost crew are going to play a large role in the show too. Here is the direct quote. She says, "It might say Ahsoka, but it's a family. She's still mysterious at this point in her life." In the series, you get to better understand where she's at and her mission, and if you really focus on the language here guys, she's not just talking about the mission to find Ezra and Thrawn, she's also talking about a personal mission, and this could involve many things, coming to terms with the fact that Anakin turned to the dark side, and also where she stands from the point of view of the Force, and the family she speaks of here are obviously her allies, namely Sabine Wren played by Natasha, Hera Syndulla, who I assume is being played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who was also seen in the teaser trailer, everyone's favourite droid Chopper, and hopefully the likes of Gareth Eberelios and Jason Syndulla as well. Now, as you would expect, Rosario Dawson did not comment on Ezra or what the mission to finding him is going to entail, but she doubled down on Ahsoka's spiritual journey, which, as I've said in the past, is probably going to be her path to an evolved version of the character, Ahsoka the White, as we see in the Rebels epilogue, and I can imagine that being the bulk of the first season. We have no guarantee the search for Ezra and Thrawn is even going to be in season 1. Now, speaking to Entertainment Weekly, Natasha also shared her experiences on the volume. What was great about hearing her talk about Star Wars is that it's very clear she's a passionate fan. It was comforting knowing she's seen Star Wars Rebels and is familiar with who Sabine is. One interesting comment she made was regarding how she approached the audition for the character. As with a lot of actors in recent projects, she didn't know she was auditioning for Star Wars. She was just told it was for a Disney project, but when she read the character description, she said she felt a very Han Solo vibe from Sabine, and she brought that sass, that kind of Han Solo swagger to the role. Immediately, Jon Favreau was impressed, and they knew she was the only person for the role. Throughout the interview, she keeps complimenting how easy the process was. And finally, back to Rosario. In this interview, she talked about the scope of the show, how the world building is so huge and adds so much to Ahsoka's place in the galaxy at this time. She also once again reiterates that nobody is a side character. All of these characters, most of them originating in Star Wars Rebels, have a huge place in the hearts of fans, and so Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau respected that, and this show is going to be the most fitting sequel to that series. I'm super excited, and from what I've heard from you guys in the comment sections, as well as polls that I've put out, by the sounds of things, the Ahsoka series is one of, if not the, most anticipated upcoming Star Wars series. And as Star Wars fans, we really couldn't be more lucky with the likes of Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and creatives like Bryce Dallas Howard, who is directing in the Ahsoka series, who's teased this show is going to be an absolute treat for Clone Wars fans. As we saw in the teaser trailer, we have the likes of Hayang, and aside from the obvious ones, I'm sure the Ahsoka series is going to pack some really cool surprises. The one cameo I want to see above all else is Captain Rex, Tamara Morrison with that glorious beard. Fingers crossed, 2023 is going to be an absolute treat for the Mandoverse. So now, my dear Mandalorians, something a little bit different. This is the weirdest Star Wars toy I've ever come across. It is gargantuanly priced and is honestly a bit creepy. I think Star Wars have gone way too far with this one. So in case you're out of the loop, they've created a Grogu Animatronic and it costs up to $100,000. For that kind of price, this toy better be able to force heal people. Let's dive into the report. Grogu, aka the Child, is no doubt Disney Star Wars' biggest moneymaker. While integral to the Mandalorian story, Grogu was clearly created with merch in mind, and now you can earn the ultimate piece of Grogu merch, providing you have at least $85,000 to spare. The animatronic Grogu, which was on show at San Diego Comic-Con, was seriously next level. The functionality of this thing is definitely impressive, and kudos to the team who developed this. But for 85 to 100 grand, I must say you'd hope it'd be a little bit more accurate. Yes, it's impressive, but the proportions are a bit off, the eyes are too round, and for the price tag, it is a bit clunky. You wouldn't mistake it for the puppet used in the show, for example. If you were to pass the EFX Collectibles booth, you would have come across this Grogu puppet. The price of this puppet has astonished fans all over the world. Each Grogu is custom built to order, and the price is determined by just how realistic you want him to be. As highlighted by Gizmodo, Grogu's pram is hiding 15 servos that control his movements, but if you want the critter to have more, you can have the creators add more servos, thus bumping up the price closer to 100 grand. I mean, in my opinion, that's just ridiculous. Yes, from certain angles it's pretty cool, and if you're into this kind of thing, go for it if you can afford it, but it just doesn't seem worth the price tag. And I'm not trying to take away from EFX, who worked with Legacy Effects to make this come to life. TheGamer.com say, as for just how realistic this Grogu can be, even at its lowest price, it really is the next best thing after the puppet used in the show. I think it's the eyes on this thing that really creeps me out the most. It looks like it's peering into my soul. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Grogu. I've got way too much Mandalorian merch for one person. But you know what, as I say, if you're into this kind of thing and you can afford it, you do you. But when you're selling an animatronic at the price tag for a mortgage on a house, you better hope it can force heal your injuries and defeat mudhorns. But I do understand that these kind of high-end animatronics are luxury products and they do get people talking. It is a great toy, the details are pretty awesome, but the same can't be said about the price tag. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. And so finally, an opinion piece on the Andor series. Andor will be the most political Star Wars project since the prequels. I definitely agree with this assessment, and I do wonder how that's going to be received by the fandom. And when it comes to the Andor show, I've been listening into different perspectives, watching different YouTube channels, listening to Star Wars podcasts, and even reading my own comment sections on Andor videos. It seems pretty clear the hype for the Andor show is generally lacking. Yes, a lot of people are excited, but nowhere near The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, or even The Kenobi show. With the exception of The Mandalorian, I'm more excited for Andor than all of the others. But I think the lack of hype comes from the fact that we know where the character ends up. Some fans just don't see a need for a Rogue One prequel, and because it's once again the old Rebels versus Empire fight, the one we've seen time and time before, and while I do understand that perspective, I disagree. For those reasons, some fans just aren't expecting much out of the show, but I would argue that the beauty of the Andor series is that it's going to give us a new, fresh side of that conflict. Different players we didn't know were around, the unsung heroes of the rebellion, and also giving us a general scope and perspective of this point in the timeline across various planets. I guess my hope is that when the final trailer comes out, and if the premiere delivers, that word is going to spread pretty quickly, because right now it feels as though a lot of fans are sleeping on the series. Let's wait and see, just over 36 days to go. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Are you excited for the Ahsoka series Andor? And what do you make of this new Grogu animatronic? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and if you're hungry for more Mandalorian content, then click the link down there in the description, or click the join button and become a member. You get regular access to videos that are not found here on YouTube. But until the next one, guys, may the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.